This industry has been affected by history and by tradition, and also by folklore and superstition. And so some of the language which has been used has also had extra layers of meaning applied to it. So when you're someone who wants to buy this particular type of service, you do have to think closely as to what it is you want to achieve and what it is that is achievable, taking into account the confines of the questions that you're asking and the progress that you want to get within your life. Essentially, nearly anyone could gain some benefit from this service, and I've managed to help people who are anything from entrepreneurs setting up businesses to top level directors, seriously, within companies, to be able to manage their acquisition of wealth and allocation of staff much better. I've also had sessions with people who are working on a shop floor and were struggling with how to deal with the bosses and other staff members and various forms of interpersonal conflicts associated with the workplace as well. When we use the phrase a reading, what we're talking about is a form of consultation. Just as if you go and see a consultant, you say you're going to have a consultation with a consultant. Or if you're going to see a physiotherapist, you say you're going to physio. Okay, it's a word which is applied to that one particular session, which kind of describes what you'll be able to achieve with that one particular person. As I've already said, the use of language has affected people's perceptions as to what can be achieved and what can't be achieved. But it is essentially a conversation and a consultation, and using symbolism, using language, using a combination of mythology and spirituality, we can try and help the client to reach a new level of clarity and understanding. And the things which have been achieved within my short duration in this trade, over 11 years, has actually been quite amazing. The history of tarot itself is a lot more Christian than people think, and it really is quite shocking that the Christian world has not attempted to more proactively take ownership of the symbolism of tarot, and instead it's moved much more into the subversive and the New Age world, rather than keeping it mainstream, which is what essentially it should have been all the time. The true history of what we call the major arcana, namely the trump cards, because tarot cards were designed firstly for playing a game rather than for divination and fortune telling and spiritual practices, came from something from ancient Rome, and that thing was called the triumph procession, and the word triumph eventually became distorted and contorted and grew into the word tarot. And the triumph in question was the triumph of Christianity over paganism, strangely enough. And so we are in this world now whereby we have lots of people within the pagan world who are really proud of their engagement with tarot, forgetting that they're using a Christian tradition. And we have plenty of Christian people who are saying that tarot is evil, when essentially tarot is also a Christian tradition and comes from their culture as well. So there has been a lot of distortion of history as a result of people coming out with various forms of revisionist histories and various interpretations as to what is seemingly appropriate conduct or seemingly appropriate behaviors within various different theological, cultural, religious, and also political strains of thought. Yes, we can say that tarot is in fact Christian, and we can say that without any form of contradiction whatsoever, because of its history. One thought that I've had is that Christianity itself has transformed an awful lot, primarily as a result of certain political groups and political ideologies developing in strength and predominance. And this has had a serious negative impact in terms of separating Christian people from their own roots within the Judeo-Christian tradition, as well as the even broader mythology and spirituality, culture and history which has informed the original Christian ideas. Some of the earlier tarot decks, for instance, have some imagery which is almost indistinguishable from church imagery, strangely enough. One of the many reasons that tarot developed a subversive kind of image, which is thoroughly undeserved really, was due to the fact that tarot was used in a card game, and the card game itself was used in gambling. And there was again another political movement who said, no, we can't have church imagery used in gambling, it's not good for the image of the church, it's not good for us as people, so essentially we're going to have to say tarot is wrong, and it's damaging or detrimental. I regard this as being a gross simplification and attempting to use very simple ideas in order to discredit something which they could have instead promoted as something which would help Christianity to grow and develop and add an extra richness to the meanings associated with Christian symbolism.